What is the long-term plan for the Dodgers and Dustin May? May is back throwing a baseball as of today, but he still could miss most, if not all, of the 2024 season after undergoing arm surgery last July. Today, I'm talking all D May on another edition of the All Dodgers podcast. First, my name is Clint Pasillas. You can find me as Real FRG on the social media things, and links are in the description below. I'm a longtime baseball writer and sports editor who has covered the Dodgers for years for sites like Sports Illustrated, DodgersNation.com, and now I'm here covering the Dodgers on my YouTube channel. So please consider giving this video a thumbs up. Please consider subscribing to the channel. We're getting dangerously close, we'll say, to hitting that 4,000 subscriber mark, and I'd really appreciate it if you'd give us a sub and hit that little bell if you want to be notified for live videos and live streams along the way. But let us talk Dustin May. So Dustin May is back, and he is throwing a baseball at Camelback Ranch for the first time since injuring his forearm and elbow last May. Had the surgery last July, and yeah, it is an awesome sight to see this kid throwing a ball, and it's surely a reason to get hyped for a potential return sooner rather than later, potentially this season. But considering it's a second major surgery in his, elbow area in the last 3 years, right now I'm very much tempering my excitement. So a question I get asked, or I see quite often online as well, is people asking about the status of Dustin May. When is he coming back? When will we see D May back on the mound? At this point, there's nothing telling us that he wouldn't miss all, if not, or most, if not all, of the 2024 season. He had a second Tommy John surgery performed just in July of 2023, and it was a revision surgery, by the way, so more on that just a second. This is going to be your medical school, exam or something like that. D May also had a surgery to repair a injured or a damaged flexor tendon in his right elbow, really in his right forearm. So it's very notable to say that May also had Tommy John surgery in May of 2021. So there's been a lot of mileage on undergoing the knife for Dustin over the last couple of years. But the big question here is, what is revision surgery, or Tommy John revision surgery, or really ulnar collateral ligament reconstructive revision surgery? I don't know all of the words. It's reconstruction surgery, reconstructive surgery to your elbow, but the Tommy John revision surgery. Doing some research on this, because it's sort of, the field has changed. The Tommy John itself, the operation or the surgery, of course, that's its nickname, but things have kind of changed over the last couple of years. You're hearing more about the revision surgery. You're hearing about the internal brace. Now, I ain't no big city doctor here or anything like that, so my medical understanding is take it with a grain of salt, we'll say. But my understanding of the revision surgery is that it isn't as involved as the standard Tommy John surgery or the UCL reconstruction. Revision surgery involves reattaching the existing damaged ligament. Most likely it was something that was torn off of a bone instead of split down the middle in these cases. So it involves reusing that, reattaching that, instead of grafting a new tendon as they've done for years in the traditional Tommy John surgery. So we'll say advances in the medical field have brought the rise. We've seen the rise in use in the also the internal brace, which is related, I believe, but also not exactly the same, but also the same at the same time. I'll slow it down a little bit. I know I'm going quick on this because, you came here for Dodger talk and D-May talk, not elbow medical talk. But the internal brace thing, as we see some images here, and they're very delicious. I know this. We've heard internal brace a whole lot more over the last few years. They say it is like a collagen tape like material, and that's used to strengthen the ligament, the joint, the elbow area, and ideally keep pitchers pitching more often than not. So now I'll step back on my statement about there being nothing telling us that Dustin wouldn't miss most or all of the 2024 season, because the recovery time on this internal brace surgery, the revision surgery, it's shorter than the usual 12 to 16 months you would get on a traditional, I guess we'll call it, Tommy John surgery. But you add in the fact that May also had the flexor tendon operation. And usually that recovery isn't as long, isn't as involved as the Tommy John, but it's still something in the 8 to 12 month range. So add all that up inside of Dustin's elbow. It's like, yeah, right now he's throwing a baseball for the first time on January 17th. And that's a sign that we're right on schedule, because it's 1 day shy of exactly 6 months since his July 18th surgery in Los Angeles. So that could be a sign, a good sign. It could be a bad sign. It could be that he's right on track for a 12-month recovery, which would still not give him very much time to join the team in 2024. So why the Dodgers need to be cautious, or they should be cautious with May. The things that there are things that stand out about his injuries. 5 starts in 2021. Elbow gave out in May in Milwaukee. Took a very long time to come back. 2022, he made 6 starts coming off the IL. He had the back issues kind of flaring up on him, was a non-factor for the team ultimately. 2023, he made 9 starts before that forearm elbow kind of barked on him again. So that's just 20 starts over the last 3 seasons. And clearly he has struggled to get over the hump, we'll say, of staying on the mound and staying on the mound for more than just a handful of starts each year. And to me, that's a huge cause for concern with this team. We do know that when he's healthy, when he's on the mound, Dustin May can be nasty. And just maybe that nasty can tick up, can play up in the bullpen. We're foreshadowing a little bit right here, guys. So what comes next for Dustin May? The best case scenario is, he's returning in August. He's returning in September, maybe this year, whatever the role is. That much we don't know yet, but that would be right around that 12, 13 month mark, post-operation mark. So the question I have for the team is, how aggressive are they going to be with May's ramp up? He's throwing again today, exactly 6 months after his surgery. And in the past, when you have pitchers coming back from a second Tommy John in 3 years, you'd almost certainly be targeting a 14 to 18 month recovery timeline, which that's to go full strength. As somebody come back full strength, they are rejoining the starting rotation, which if you're in that timeline, bye 2024 for D-May. But in that best case scenario, for a return this season, the Dodgers really probably should explore getting him back to a big league mound faster in a bullpen role. And, really maybe in the grand scheme of things for Dustin May, that might be the best play. That might be the best move for him and his future in this game. So let's talk the future of Dustin May and kind of what we know over, his parts of 5 years as a big league pitcher. As a starter, never really known as a big-time strikeout guy. Never really overly known as a guy who's going to pitch deep into a game, let alone into a season. He doesn't have that true put-away pitch. Yeah, he's got nasty stuff, but he does not have the put-away pitch, and that's where you get really, really low strikeout numbers, including a career low, I think it was 6.6 in 2023. But if you don't have him facing a lineup 2 or 3 times in relief, his stuff potentially could play up, and we'll say with a few usage tweaks, with his pitches there. Yeah, he's going to throw the nasty fastball, with a bigger slider, maybe a more loopy slider or a more refined slider. It might be devastating. That 2-pitch combo might be devastating in short burst work. For what it's worth, the small sample size splits in his career, which we see on the screen, show that he's immediately better in relief. The Ks are up, the strikeout to walk ratio has doubled. Stats don't lie. And of course, most of those relief innings came when he was just 21 or 22 years old, or 21 and 2022, 21 and 22 years old. Words are hard sometimes. In 2019 and 2020. So he's just breaking into the league then. They didn't know him as much. Now this is a league that very much knows, hey, this is probably a fastball dude more often than not. So for Dustin, you have the big reason to move into a relief role is, you could come back and help the team probably, potentially, maybe, possibly this year. But also, if you look down you look down the calendar a little bit, you stare down at 2025, and notably, he is under team control through the 2025 season. But you look ahead at what that Dodger starting rotation is, projecting to look like. Starting might not really be an option for Dustin May, at least in LA. Shohei Ohtani is expected to be back and ready to anchor the top of the rotation alongside Yoshinobu Yamamoto and Tyler Glasnow, who expect to form a kind of three-headed monster at the top of the rotation there, if we want to call it a three-headed monster. You read the rumor tea leaves a little bit over the last few weeks. It seems like a strong likelihood that Japanese ace Roki Sasaki is going to be posted next winter and is going to want to pitch for the Los Angeles Dodgers. So let's just say that's a done deal. And I did talk about it in a video in the past, the Roki Sasaki rumors. I'll link it down in the description. You have 4 dudes already there if Sasaki joins the rotation in 2025. And then by then you also have, Bobby Miller. He's, depending on how the 2024 season goes for him, as long as that's not an absolute shit show, he should be coming into his own as a major league, standout major league starting pitcher. And that's your number 5 guy in the rotation. Then you have the Tony Gonsolin factor, who's still under team control through 2026. And yeah, he'll be coming off of Tommy John surgery he had at the end of last year. He should be fully healthy, but he might not even have a spot in the Dodgers, starting rotation or even on the roster. So Tony Gonsolin talk, certainly a trade candidate next offseason, maybe even a non-tender candidate, albeit not extremely likely, but just to kind of throw that out there a little bit. And then to button all of it up, you got the Emmett Sheehan, you got the Gavin Stone factor, you have the River Ryan, you have the Nick Frasso, you have a lot of guys, a lot of younger dudes who are going to need to start or going to need opportunities in the starting rotation, or at least to be starting pitchers at the major league level. So add all of this up, sprinkle in a Clayton Kershaw future, in the rotation and with the Dodgers to it all. And there doesn't really feel to be a lot of room for D-May in the rotation in 2025. You'll notice I didn't mention Walker Buehler in that as well. So there's a Walker Buehler factor in it. But with Dustin May in a relief role, he could plug right into the back end of that bullpen and be a weapon and be just a killer bridge to the 9th inning if he doesn't end up in a 9th inning role, if he doesn't end up as a closer somewhere down in his career. I mean, it wouldn't be immediately. He would have to work his way into a closer's role, but he could be an 8th inning weapon if he were to join the bullpen, let's say in the end of 24 and in 25. It's worth noting, Joe Kelly, he signed a 1-year deal. He's hinted at retiring, might not be back in LA. Dustin May fits that Joe Kelly role really, really nicely, just to, throw that out into the ethos. But final thoughts on this. Dustin May is just 26. He's still young enough to establish himself as a solid major league starting pitcher. His best earning potential is certainly as a starting major league pitcher, but that opportunity just might not happen. It might not come again with the Los Angeles Dodgers. That's what I think. I want to know your thoughts on May. Sound off in the comments below. Would you like to see him as a future closer? Do you think the Dodgers should try to plug him back into the rotation if he's healthy? Do you think they should try to trade him if he's healthy? Again, sound off in the comments below. I'd like to hear what people have to say. Thank you for watching the video. Hopefully this one wasn't terribly all over the place. Hopefully you guys enjoyed medical class with FRG. Please consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. Hitting the bell also helps these videos, or at least it helps you know when I happen to be going live. Thumbs up really helps. Sounding off in the comments really help the algorithms on the YouTube and all that kind of stuff. I'm Real FRG on the social media things. Links are in the description, and I will see you on the other side.